hoping to tap into some of the success that her father has had, but probably also hoping to avoid some of the pitfalls of her father's film. Ishana Night Shyamalan has written and directed her first film. It's called The Watchers. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new supernatural horror film, The Watchers. This is in theaters right now. It is produced by M. Night Shyamalan, but written and directed by his daughter, Ishana Night Shyamalan. And there are definitely some parallels, I think, between the film styling and the writing and even the directing a bit. And yes, there's a twist ending here too. So taking a cue from a lot of her father's previous work. But we'll talk about this in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got movie and TV reviews on the channel, and just about every day something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out. And with that in mind, please consider subscribing. Click that like button and comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. Okay, so The Watchers. This is about Mina, who is an American in Ireland, played by Dakota Fanning, and she's really going through some internal issues, which I won't get into now. You find out more about that as the film goes, but in any event, she is tasked with taking this very expensive parrot to a zoo in Belfast, but her car breaks down in the woods on the way, and she ends up sort of lost in these woods and finds this older woman named Madeline and follows her to this building called the Coop and meets two other occupants there. And it is explained to her that a group called the Watchers observe the group every single night through a mirrored window. And that's the general premise. I think any more than that, we get into maybe some spoiler territory. But the other three members of the group here, Madeline is played by Olin Fuyeri. I'm not familiar with her, but she is an Irish actress. You also have Georgina Campbell here and Oliver Finnegan. I didn't really recognize any of them. Georgina Campbell, maybe, like I feel like I've seen her maybe before, but nothing. I looked at her filmography. I was like, I sort of saw that movie, I guess, but yeah, it was nothing. You know, she was in a Black Mirror episode. I didn't watch Black Mirror, so yeah, you may know her, but and that's pretty much it. There are a couple of other characters that have like one scene, but really this is you know, the four of them essentially throughout this whole movie. So look, the M. Night Shyamalan filmography, you know, before we get on his daughter and sort of the issues with this film, is, you know, M. Night's is very, very uneven. You know, obviously some of his early work is very revered by pretty much everybody. You know, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, you know, Signs is, I think, where it starts to maybe dip a little bit. I really enjoy Signs, but I know for some it's really just those first two. And then his movies got real bad. And then the last few, you know, a little bit more mixed. I think his last feature film was Old, which I thought was horrible. I gave that an F. He's got a lot of Fs, you know, for me, but a lot of, you know, pretty decent to good grades as well. And his TV show Servant on Apple, you know, I really enjoyed as well. But you know, one of the main issues. Oh no, you know what? I know his last movie was Knock at the Cabin. Is that what that was called? And that was okay. I think I gave that maybe a C+ or a B- or something. That was okay. But in any event, this movie could have very well been written and directed by him. A lot of the Shyamalan hallmarks are here, and that is the good and the bad. You know, yes, there is a twist ending. I'm not sure it makes complete sense. In fact, a lot of this movie, and this is based on a book, so I can't say this is an original concept by Ishana Night Shyamalan, but you know, I don't know if it differs at all from the book. And I will, in a positive note, give her that she does write characters and dialogue actually probably a little bit better than her father. A lot of her father's dialogue is very stilted, and it seems like he's never even heard a real conversation between two people before. It's very like robotic at times. It's weird. Everything about the dialogue here seemed like, okay, somebody might say this in this situation, and they might even phrase it this way. So, okay, sure, that's one positive. And I have a few other positives for this movie. But the This is a real kind of like, please don't think too hard about this plot kind of a movie, which I felt the same way about Old, on the beach. This is really kind of dumb if you think about it for too long. So my recommendation would be go ahead and don't do that. Just go into it and sort of take it for what it is. I thought this movie was okay. I was a little trepidatious going in. It has like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, and okay, I don't live and die by that, but it's not a great score, and certainly with the Shyamalan name on it, I've already sort of got a few reservations, perhaps. But I think this movie is a little more middling than that. For one thing, I do think that the younger Shyamalan does have some interesting directing techniques here, especially when we're talking about a mirrored, a two-way mirror. I think she uses that to her advantage as a director, and gives us some interesting shots there. There's maybe, a few too many overhead shots of the forest. We get it. It's a big, vast forest. It sort of resets each scene or whatever, or, every next morning we see the overhead shot of the whole forest. All right, we got it. So maybe there's a few too many of those, but I will say that this movie is at least interesting to look at. And she does a lot with, just a little bit of space because the coop is not very big, certainly, even though, the forest by contrast is enormous. And there's some interesting things with the plot, but that's sort of where it falls apart for me. I feel like there was, and again, maybe the book is like this too. Maybe this adaptation is faithful. I don't know, but I feel like that there's a lot of really interesting ideas that never quite get realized because of certain limitations, either with the story itself, because, okay, we have to preserve X, Y, and Z, so the twist kind of makes sense, even though it still sort of doesn't. But yeah, there's a lot of things here that I think could have worked better. But I think in M. Night's hands, this movie actually might have been worse. I think it might help that she is a first time director here. Yes, certainly mimicking her father's style. And since he's a producer, obviously he probably had some input too. But I think in his hands, this actually might have been worse, to be honest. So look, I leave this pretty much in the middle. The Watchers is a C for me, but definitely, trust me, don't think too much about some of the plot specifics by the end, because I think that will be a much more frustrating experience. So, all right, that will do it for now. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.